The warning lights flashed red across the control panel of Taemin Kim's cargo ship. He pressed buttons and pulled levers, but nothing worked. The engine was dead, and his ship was falling toward the planet below. Not good. Not good at all, Taemin said to himself. He looked out the window at the beautiful blue and silver planet getting closer. This was Velthera Prime, the most important world in the entire galaxy. It was home to the Veltherans, the powerful beings who ruled over all the other planets and species in space. Taemin was just a simple cargo pilot from Earth. He carried supplies and goods between different worlds. His job was boring but safe. At least it was supposed to be safe. Now he was about to crash on the most dangerous planet he could imagine. The ship hit the ground hard. Metal bent and glass broke. Taemin's head hit something and everything went dark for a moment. When he woke up, smoke filled the cabin. He had to get out fast. He pushed open the emergency door and crawled outside. His whole body hurt, but he was alive. The ship was completely broken. Black smoke rose from the engine. There was no way to fix it. Taemin looked around. He had crashed in what looked like a beautiful garden. Strange trees with silver leaves grew everywhere. The ground was covered with plants that glowed softly in different colors. In the distance, he could see tall, shining buildings that reached up into the clouds. Then he heard voices. Not human voices, but something else. Something that sounded like music mixed with the sound of wind through crystal. Taemin hid behind his broken ship and watched. A group of beings came walking through the garden. They were unlike anything Taemin had ever seen. They looked like they were made of living crystal. Their bodies were tall and thin, and light passed through them in amazing ways. As they moved, colors danced across their skin like rainbows. There were about 20 of them walking together. They wore long robes that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. Some carried what looked like weapons, but even those were beautiful, like swords made of pure energy. But in the center of the group was someone special. She was taller than the others, and her crystal skin was more perfect. When light hit her, it broke into thousands of tiny rainbows that danced around her. She moved like she was floating instead of walking. Even from far away, Taemin could tell she was important. She must be some kind of princess or queen, he whispered to himself. As the group got closer, Taemin could see more details. The female in the center had a crown made of what looked like frozen lightning. Her face was beautiful in a way that no human face could be. She was perfect, like a work of art that had come to life. Taemin forgot where he was. He forgot that he was supposed to hide. He just stared at the most beautiful being he had ever seen in his entire life. "She's the most magnificent princess I've ever seen," he said out loud. The moment the words left his mouth, Taemin knew he had made a terrible mistake. The small device on his belt, his universal translator, was still working. It had broadcast his words in the Veltheran's language to everyone nearby. All 20 of the crystal beings stopped walking. They all turned to look at him. The beautiful princess in the center looked directly at Taemin with eyes that sparkled like stars. For a moment, nobody moved. The garden was completely quiet, except for the sound of smoke still rising from Taemin's ship. He wanted to run, but his legs would not move. He was frozen with fear. The guards around the princess started to move toward him. They held their energy weapons ready. Their crystal faces showed no emotion, but Taemin could tell they were angry. He had broken some important rule by speaking to their princess. "Wait," the princess said. Her voice was like the sound of singing mixed with the ring of perfect bells. "Stop." The guards stopped moving, but they kept their weapons pointed at Taemin. The princess walked closer to him. Each step she took made tiny musical sounds as her feet touched the glowing plants. She stopped about 10 feet away from him. Up close, she was even more beautiful. Her crystal skin was so clear that Taemin could see light moving through her, like liquid fire. Her eyes were the color of deep space, dark blue with tiny points of light like distant stars. "You are human," she said. It was not a question. "Yes. Your Majesty," Taemin said. He tried to bow, but his injured leg almost made him fall. "I am Princess Aralene of the House of Eternal Light," she said. "You have crashed your vessel in the royal gardens of Velthara Prime." "I'm sorry," Taman said quickly. "My ship broke. I didn't mean to crash here. I'll leave as soon as I can fix it." One of the guards made a sound like breaking glass. "The human machine is destroyed," the guard said. "It cannot be repaired." Princess Aralene walked in a circle around Tamin's broken ship. She looked at the twisted metal and the still-smoking engine. "Captain, what did you call me when you first saw our group?" Tamin's face turned red. I said you were magnificent, Your Majesty. I'm sorry if that was wrong." "Magnificent." She repeated the word slowly, like she was tasting it. "This is a human word for beauty combined with power?" "Yes, Your Majesty. It means someone who is both beautiful and important. Someone who makes you feel amazed just by looking at them." Princess Aralyn was quiet for a long time. The other crystal beings watched her carefully. Timon could tell that something unusual was happening, but he did not understand what. "In 3,000 years of my life," Princess Aralyn finally said, "no being has ever called me magnificent." "That's impossible," Taman said without thinking. "You're the most magnificent person I've ever seen." The guards made angry sounds and moved closer, but Princess Aralyn held up one crystal hand to stop them. "Why do you continue to use this word?" she asked. "Because it's true," Taman said. "I don't understand why no one has told you before. Anyone with eyes can see how amazing you are." Princess Aralyn turned to look at her guards and the other crystal beings with her. "Have any of you ever thought to describe me as magnificent?" The beings looked confused. One of them, who seemed to be some kind of advisor, spoke up. "Princess, we have always recognized your superior genetic structure and your elevated position in our social hierarchy. We have acknowledged your proper role as our future ruler." "But have you ever found me beautiful?" she asked. The advisor looked even more confused. "Beauty is an emotional response, Princess. We have moved beyond such primitive reactions." Princess Aralyn looked back at Taman. "And yet this human, whose species we consider primitive, sees something in me that my own people do not." "Your Majesty," one of the guards said, "the human has violated protocol by addressing you without permission. The punishment is imprisonment." "No," Princess Aralyn said firmly. "This human has given me something I did not know I was missing." She walked closer to Tamin. "What is your name, Captain?" "Tamin Kim, Your Majesty. I work for Earth Cargo Company. I carry supplies between planets." "Captain Kim, you have presented me with an interesting problem. My people believe that emotions are weaknesses. We have built our civilization on logic and order. But your words have made me feel something I have never felt before." "What is that, Your Majesty?" "Curiosity about myself," she said. "I want to understand what you see when you look at me. I want to know what this thing called beauty really means." The advisor stepped forward. "Princess, we should not waste time on human concepts. We have important matters of state to discuss." "The matters of state will wait," Princess Aralyn said. "Captain Kim, I have a proposal for you." Taman waited nervously. He had no idea what she was going to say. "Your ship is broken and cannot be fixed. You are stranded on our world. Normally, we would send you back to your people immediately, but I am going to offer you a choice." "What kind of choice, Your Majesty?" "You can serve as my cultural advisor. You will teach me about human concepts like beauty and magnificence. In return, I will have your ship repaired by our best engineers. When you are ready to leave, you will be free to go with safe passage through our space." The guards and advisors started making angry crystal sounds. This was clearly not what they expected. "But Your Majesty," the advisor said, "humans are a primitive species. They have nothing to teach us." "This primitive human saw something in me that none of you have seen in 3,000 years, Princess Aralyn replied. "Perhaps there is more to learn from them than we thought." She looked at Taman again. "What is your answer, Captain Kim? Will you accept my offer?" Taman thought quickly. He was stranded on an alien world with no way to leave. The alternative to accepting her offer was probably jail or worse. But more than that, he was curious about this crystal princess who seemed so interested in learning about human emotions. "I accept, Your Majesty," he said. "Excellent. Guards, escort Captain Kim to the guest quarters in the North Tower. See that? He is given medical attention for his injuries and proper clothing for court appearances." As the guards surrounded Taemin, Princess Aralyn spoke once more. "Captain Kim, you said I was the most magnificent princess you had ever seen. Tomorrow, I want you to explain to me exactly what that means." "Yes, Your Majesty," Taemin said, as the guards led him away. As he walked toward the shining palace, Taemin wondered what he had gotten himself into. He was just a simple cargo pilot. Now he was supposed to be a cultural advisor to the most powerful princess in the galaxy. Taemin woke up in the softest bed he had ever felt. The room around him was made of the same crystal material as the Veltharans, but it was warm and comfortable. Sunlight came through the walls and made rainbow patterns on the floor. A servant brought him breakfast. The food was strange but tasted good. There were fruits that changed color as he ate them and bread that was light as air. The servant was also a crystal being, but smaller and less bright than Princess Aralyn. "The princess will see you in 1 hour," the servant said in a voice like tiny bells. "You must wear the proper clothes." The servant showed Taemin a set of robes similar to what the Veltharans wore, but made for a human body. The material felt like silk, but looked like liquid starlight. When Taemin was ready, 2 guards came to get him. They walked through long hallways filled with amazing art. The walls showed pictures of Veltharan's history made from colored light. Some showed great battles in space. Others showed the building of beautiful cities on distant worlds. They reached a large room with a ceiling so high that Taemin could not see the top. Princess Aralyn sat on a throne made of what looked like frozen lightning. She wore a crown that cast tiny rainbows everywhere, but she was not alone. Around her stood many other Veltharans. They all looked at Taemin with expressions he could not read. Some seemed curious, others seemed angry. "Captain Kim," Princess Aralyn said. "Welcome to the Court of Eternal Light. These are my advisors and family members." One of the Veltharans stepped forward. He was taller than Princess Aralyn and his crystal skin was darker, like deep purple glass. His eyes were cold as winter stars. "This is my brother Prince Keth-Vor," Princess Aralyn said. Prince Keth-Vor looked at Taemin like he was looking at something dirty. "Sister, I do not understand why you have brought this primitive creature into our court." "Brother Captain, Kim has agreed to teach me about human culture and emotions," Princess Aralyn replied. "Emotions are weaknesses," Prince Keth-Vor said. "Our people abandoned such things long ago. That is why we rule the galaxy while others serve us." Princess Aralyn stood up from her throne. "Yesterday, Captain Kim called me magnificent. In 3,000 years, no one has ever described me that way. I want to understand why." "Because he is primitive and does not know better," Prince Keth-Vor said. "Or because he sees something you do not," Princess Aralyn replied. The other Veltharans in the room started making soft crystal sounds. Taemin could tell they were talking among themselves, but he could not understand what they were saying. "Captain Kim," Princess Aralyn said, "explain to my court what you meant when you called me magnificent." Taemin looked around the room, at all the crystal beings staring at him. He felt very small and very human, but Princess Aralyn was waiting for an answer. "Your Majesty, when I first saw you, I felt amazed. Not just because you are beautiful, though you are. It was something more. You moved like you owned the entire world. You carried yourself like someone who could command the stars themselves. That combination of beauty and power is what humans call magnificent." "You felt amazed," Princess Aralyn repeated. "What does this feeling do to you?" "It makes me want to stare at you forever," Taemin said honestly. "It makes me feel happy, just to be in the same room. It makes me think that maybe the universe is more wonderful than I thought." The Veltharans made more crystal sounds. Some sounded confused, others sounded disapproving. "These are the emotional responses we have evolved beyond," Prince Keth-Vor said. "They serve no logical purpose. But they made Captain Kim see me in a way none of you ever have, Princess Aralyn said. Perhaps these emotions serve a purpose we have forgotten. An older Velthorans with very pale crystal skin stepped forward. Princess, I am Chief Advisor Nelthar. I have served your family for 2,000 years. In all that time, we have never needed these primitive feelings. Logic and reason have built our empire. And yet, Princess Aralyn said, Captain Kim's ship was falling from the sky, and he still took the time to notice my beauty. Even in danger, he found something worth admiring. Is there not value in that? Taemin cleared his throat. Your Majesty, may I ask a question? Princess Aralyn nodded. Do your people ever create art just because it is beautiful? Do you ever sing just because you enjoy music? Do you ever do anything just because it makes you happy? The room became very quiet. The Velthorans looked at each other with confused expressions. Chief Advisor Nelthar spoke carefully. We create art that serves important purposes. We compose music that helps with meditation and focus. We do things because they are logical and necessary. But do you ever do things just because they feel good? Taemin asked. Feelings are unreliable, Prince Kethvor said. They cloud judgment and lead to poor decisions. Sometimes, Taemin said, but they also lead to wonderful discoveries. Some of humanity's greatest achievements came from people who felt curious or excited or passionate about something. Princess Aralyn walked down from her throne until she was standing close to Taemin. Tell me about these achievements. Well, humans learned to fly because we felt amazed watching birds. We created beautiful music because we felt joy and sadness and wanted to share those feelings. We explored space because we felt wonder looking at the stars. You explored space because of wonder? Princess Aralyn asked. Yes, Your Majesty. We wanted to know what was out there. We felt excited about the possibility of meeting other people like yourselves. And what did you feel when you first saw me? She asked. Taemin thought carefully. I felt wonder, Your Majesty. And I felt grateful that such beauty existed in the universe. I felt like I was seeing something that made my whole life worthwhile. Princess Aralyn was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to her court. I want to experience these feelings, she announced. I want to understand what Captain Kim calls wonder and gratitude and joy. The crystal sounds from the court grew, louder and more agitated. Sister, this is dangerous, Prince Kethvor said. Emotions will make you weak. They will make you unfit to rule. Or they will make me a better ruler, Princess Aralyn replied. Captain Kim, I want you to teach me about human emotions. Start with this thing you call wonder. How do I do that, Your Majesty? Princess Aralyn thought for a moment. Show me something that makes you feel wonder. Taemin looked around the crystal palace. Everything was beautiful, but it was all perfect and orderly. Then he had an idea. Your Majesty, do you have gardens with normal plants, not just the glowing ones? Yes, we have biological gardens for scientific study. Could we go there? Princess Aralyn nodded to her guards. They led the group out of the throne room and through more crystal hallways. Finally, they reached a large dome made of clear crystal. Inside were plants from many different worlds, but these plants were not perfect like everything else in the palace. Some were bent or twisted, some had leaves that were different sizes, some grew in unexpected directions. Your Majesty, Taemin said, Look at that tree over there. Princess Aralyn looked where he was pointing. There was a tree with a trunk that twisted like a spiral staircase. Its branches grew in all directions, and its leaves were 5 different colors. What am I supposed to see? She asked. Watch how it moves in the wind, Taemin said. A breeze blew through the dome. The twisted tree swayed and danced. Its colored leaves rustled and spun. Light and shadow played across its unusual shape. It is chaotic, Princess Aralyn said. It is not efficient or orderly. No, Your Majesty, but it is alive. It is unique. There is no other tree in the universe exactly like that one. Is that not amazing? Princess Aralyn watched the tree for several minutes. Slowly, her expression began to change. I think I see what you mean, she said softly. It is not perfect, but it is interesting. That is the beginning of wonder, Your Majesty, Taemin said. Prince Kethfor stepped forward angrily. Sister, you are wasting time on meaningless observations. We have important meetings with the Galactic Council today. The meetings can wait, Princess Aralyn said. This is more important. More important than ruling the galaxy? Prince Kethfor demanded. More important than ruling without understanding, Princess Aralyn replied. The next few hours passed. Quickly, Taemin showed Princess Aralyn other examples of things that created wonder. They watched water flowing over rocks in patterns that were never exactly the same. They looked at clouds that formed shapes in the sky. They listened to birds whose songs had no logical purpose except to be beautiful. With each new experience, Princess Aralyn seemed to change a little. Her crystal skin began to glow more brightly. Her movements became less formal and more natural. Her voice lost some of its cold perfection and gained warmth. Captain Kim, she said as they walked back toward the palace, I am beginning to understand. These feelings you call emotions are not just random responses. They are ways of connecting with the world around us. Exactly, Your Majesty. They help us appreciate things that logic alone might miss. But my brother is right about one thing, she said. I have duties as a princess. I cannot spend all my time looking at trees and clouds. You don't have to, Your Majesty. Once you understand how to feel wonder, you can find it everywhere, even in your duties as a ruler. Princess Aralyn stopped walking. What do you mean? Every person in your kingdom is unique, like that twisted tree. Every eye. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council took place in the largest room Taemin had ever seen. It was so big that he could not see the walls on the far side. Beings from hundreds of different worlds sat in curved rows that rose up like a giant bowl. Taemin had never seen so many different types of aliens in one place. There were tall, thin beings that looked like walking trees. There were small, round creatures covered in fur that changed colors. Some looked like giant insects with too many eyes. Others were made of what appeared to be living metal, but they all had one thing in common. They were all staring at him. Princess Aralyn sat on a throne made of pure crystal at the front of the room. Taemin stood beside her, feeling very small and very human. Prince Kethfor sat on the other side of the princess, looking pleased about something. The meeting was led by a being called Supreme Counselor Zeph-9. It looked like a floating ball of silver liquid that could change shape when it talked. We are here today, Zeph-9 said in a voice like metal scraping against stone, to discuss the dangerous influence of the human species on our perfect galactic order. Murmurs filled the huge room. Most of them did not sound friendly. The Velthurans have always been our leaders, Zeph-9 continued. They have guided us with perfect logic and reason for 10,000 years. But now, their princess has been corrupted by primitive human emotions. I have not been corrupted, Princess Aralyn said, standing up. I have been enlightened. More murmurs, louder this time. A being that looked like a walking crystal mountain spoke up. Princess Aralyn, with respect, your recent behavior has been most concerning. You have been seen acting in ways that are not logical or orderly. I have been learning to appreciate beauty and wonder, Princess Aralyn replied. These are not crimes. They are if they interfere with your ability to rule, said another counselor, this one resembling a giant spider made of blue metal. We depend on Velthuran's leadership to maintain peace and order across the galaxy. Prince Kethfor stood up. Honored counselors, I share your concerns. My sister has been deceived by human trickery. I propose we expel all humans from the Galactic Coalition and restrict them to their own solar system. The room erupted in sounds. Different species made different noises when they agreed or disagreed. Some roared, some clicked, some made musical tones, but most seemed to agree with Prince Kethfor. Furthermore, Prince Kethfor continued when the noise died down, I propose that all contact between humans and other species be forbidden. They are clearly a contaminating influence. Taemin felt his heart sink. This was not just about him anymore. This was about all of humanity being cut off from the rest of the galaxy forever. Princess Aralyn turned to look at him. Her crystal eyes were full of concern. Captain Kim, they want to isolate your entire species because of what you taught me. Taemin stood up slowly. He was terrified, but he knew he had to try to save his people. Supreme Counselor Zeph-9, he said in a loud voice. May I speak? The silver being flowed into a new shape. You may speak, human, but choose your words carefully. Taemin looked around the enormous room at hundreds of alien faces staring at him. His mouth felt dry, but he began to talk. Honored counselors, you say that humans are primitive and dangerous. You want to lock us away from the rest of the galaxy. But before you do that, let me prove that humans can be valuable members of your coalition. How? Zeph-9 asked. Give me a challenge, Taemin said. Give me 3 problems that have been troubling the coalition for a long time. If I can solve them using human methods, then you will know that we deserve our place among you. The room became very quiet. Even the counselors who had been making noise stopped to listen. And if you fail? Prince Kethvor asked with a cold smile. If I fail, then humanity will accept isolation. We will stay in our solar system and never bother you again. Princess Aralyn grabbed his arm. Captain Kim, this is too dangerous. Some problems have no solutions. Your Majesty, Taemin whispered back. Sometimes you have to take risks to protect the people you care about. Supreme Counselor Zeph-9 flowed into a tall, thin shape. Very well, human. We accept your challenge. We will give you 3 problems that our greatest minds have not been able to solve. The silver being gestured, and 3 holographic displays appeared in the air above the council floor. First, Zeph-9 said, the Zephyrian trade dispute. The Zephyrians and the Korthek have been fighting over trade routes for 300 years. Their conflict disrupts commerce throughout the eastern spiral arm of the galaxy. The first display showed 2 different alien species. The Zephyrians looked like tall, elegant birds with 4 arms. The Korthak looked like bears made of rock with tusks like elephants. Second, Zeph-9 continued, the Phantom Fleet. For 50 years, mysterious ships have been attacking coalition vessels near the Void Nebula. Our military cannot catch them or communicate with them. The second display showed blurry images of dark ships that seemed to appear and disappear like ghosts. Third, Zeph-9 said, the Dying Worlds. 7 planets in the Outer Rim have begun losing their ability to support life. Our scientists cannot determine the cause or find a cure. The third display showed pictures of planets that were slowly turning gray and lifeless. You have 1 standard galactic week to solve all 3 problems, Zeph-9 announced. You may use any resources the coalition can provide, but you must work alone. He will not work alone, Princess Aralyn said firmly. I will assist him. Sister, no, Prince Kethvor said. If you help him and he fails, your reputation will be destroyed. If I do not help him and he fails, something much more important will be destroyed, Princess Aralyn replied. Taemin spent the first day studying the 3 problems. Princess Aralyn gave him access to the coalition's greatest libraries and databases. He read for hours about the history of each problem. The Zephyrian trade dispute seemed hopeless. Both species claimed the same star system as their ancestral home. Both had built cities there. Both refused to share or leave. They had been fighting small wars for centuries. The Phantom Fleet was even more mysterious. The attacking ships appeared out of nowhere, destroyed coalition vessels, and vanished. They never responded to communications. They never left survivors to question. The Dying Worlds were the strangest problem of all. 7 planets that had been full of life were slowly becoming empty. Plants died, animals fled or died, and the soil itself seemed to be losing its ability to grow anything. But as Taemin read, he began to notice patterns that the alien experts had missed. On the second day, he asked Princess Aralyn for transportation to the Zephyrian system. She gave him a fast scout ship, and they traveled there together. When they arrived, Taemin asked to meet with leaders from both species. The Zephyrians and Korthak agreed to meet, but only because Princess Aralyn requested it. The meeting took place on a neutral space station. The Zephyrian leader was a proud, bird-like being named High Merchant Veltar. The Korthak leader was a massive, rock-skinned being named War Chief Brockthun. Human, High Merchant Veltar said in a voice like wind through crystal. Why do you waste our time? This dispute cannot be resolved. War Chief Brokthun, Taman said, turning to the rock bear. High Merchant Veltar, you both love this star system because it is your home, correct? Both leaders nodded. Then why are you trying to destroy it with your fighting? The leaders looked confused. Your war has damaged the planets, polluted the space lanes, and made life miserable for everyone. Who lives there? Taman continued. Is that how you show love for your home? The system belongs to us, War Chief Brokthun rumbled. We will fight until the bird people leave. The system belongs to us, High Merchant Veltar said. We will fight until the rock people leave. What? If it belongs to both of you? Taman asked. Both leaders started to argue, but Taman held up his hand. On my world, when two groups both love the same place, they sometimes decide to share it. They create festivals and celebrations together. They trade goods and ideas. They make the place stronger by working together instead of weaker by fighting. Sharing is weakness, War Chief Brokthun said. Working together is strength, Taman replied. High Merchant Veltar, your people are excellent traders, correct? The best in the galaxy, Veltar said proudly. And War Chief Brokthun, your people are excellent miners and builders? None better, Brokthun rumbled. Then imagine what you could accomplish together. The Korthak could mine rare minerals and build amazing structures. The Zephyrians could sell these goods throughout the galaxy. Both peoples would become richer and more powerful than they ever were alone. The two leaders looked at each other with new interest. But how can we trust each other after centuries of fighting? Veltar asked. Start small, Taman said. Create a festival to celebrate your shared home. Invite families from both species. Let your children play together. When people share joy, they find it harder to share hate. It took 2 more days of negotiation, but finally both sides agreed to try. They would create the Festival of Two Peoples, and they would begin small joint trading and building projects. One problem solved. The Phantom Fleet was harder. Taman spent a day studying the attack patterns. Every alien expert had tried to track the mysterious ships using advanced technology, but Taman noticed something simpler. 3 weeks had passed since Taman solved the 3 problems for the Galactic Council. Life in the Crystal Palace had become more comfortable, but also more dangerous. Princess Aralyn spent every day learning about human emotions and culture. She laughed when Taman told her funny stories from Earth. She felt sad when he explained human poetry about loss and loneliness. She experienced wonder when he showed her how humans created art from simple materials, but not everyone was happy about these changes. Taman noticed that fewer Veltharans attended Princess Aralyn's court each day. The advisors who remained looked uncomfortable when she smiled or showed other emotions. The servants whispered among themselves in their crystal language. Prince Kethvor had become cold and distant, even toward his sister. He rarely spoke during council meetings, but when he did, his words were sharp as broken glass. The worst part was the looks Taman received from other Veltharans. They stared at him like he was a disease that might spread to them. Some made angry crystal sounds when he passed by. Others simply turned away, refusing to acknowledge his existence. One morning, as Taman was teaching Princess Aralyn about human music, Commander Hyjin Park arrived at the palace. Hyjin had been Taman's friend and colleague when they both served in Earth's Space Navy. Now she was Earth's official representative to the Galactic Coalition. She was smart, brave, and completely dedicated to protecting Earth's interests. Taman, she said as they met in the palace gardens. We need to talk. It's good to see you too, Hyjin, Taman replied with a smile. How are things back home? Complicated, she said, not returning his smile. The success you achieved for humanity has created new problems. They walked together among the glowing plants. Princess Aralyn was in meetings with her advisors, so they could speak freely. What kind of problems? Taman asked. Many alien species are now afraid of human potential, Hyjin explained. Before they thought we were primitive and harmless. Now they know we can solve problems they cannot. Some of them want to take action against Earth before we become too powerful. Taemin stopped walking. What kind of action? Military action, Hyejin said quietly. There are reports of secret meetings between several species. They are discussing a preemptive strike against our solar system. But that's insane, Taemin said. We solved their problems. We helped them. That's exactly why they are afraid, Hyejin replied. If humans can solve problems that their advanced civilizations cannot, what does that say about their superiority? They sat down on a bench made of crystal that was warm from the alien sun. There's something else, Hyejin continued. Intelligence reports suggest that Prince Kethvor is involved in these secret meetings. Taemin felt a chill run down his spine. Are you sure? Not completely sure, but the evidence is strong. He has been meeting secretly with representatives from several military-focused species. He has also been spreading propaganda about the dangers of human influence on his sister. What does Earth want me to do? Hyejin looked at him with serious eyes. Earth wants you to come home. Now. Before the situation gets worse. I can't leave Princess Aralyn, Taemin said immediately. She is depending on me to teach her about human culture. Taemin, be realistic. You are one person on a planet full of aliens who are becoming hostile toward humans. If something happens to you, it could give them an excuse to attack Earth. Before Taemin could answer, they heard footsteps on the crystal path. Princess Aralyn was walking toward them, accompanied by an elderly Veltharans that Taemin had never seen before. Captain Kim, Commander Park, Princess Aralyn said, I would like you to meet Elder So-Young Lee. The elderly Veltharans bowed respectfully, but when she spoke, it was in perfect Korean. It is an honor to meet you both, Elder So-Young said. I am actually human like you. Taemin and Hyejin stared in shock. Elder So-Young looked exactly like a Veltharans, but her voice and mannerisms were completely human. How is that possible? Hyejin asked. I am a xenobiologist, So-Young explained. I have been studying Veltharans' culture for 20 years. I volunteered to undergo surgical modification to appear Veltharans so I could study them more closely. Princess Aralyn smiled. Elder So-Young has been my secret advisor on human culture for many years. She has been helping me understand the reports about your species. Which is why I asked to meet you both, So-Young said. Princess, I need to tell them what we discussed in private. Princess Aralyn nodded, but she looked worried. So-Young turned to Taemin and Hyejin. Prince Kethvor is planning something very dangerous. He has allied himself with xenophobic elements throughout the coalition. They plan to eliminate Taemin and force Princess Aralyn to renounce all human contact. When? Hyejin asked. Tonight, So-Young replied. During the formal ceremony where Princess Aralyn is supposed to announce new policies for the kingdom. Princess Aralyn looked at Taemin with crystal eyes full of pain. Captain Kim, my brother has given me an ultimatum. Either I publicly reject human influence and send you away, or he will declare me unfit to rule and take the throne by force. Then send me away, Taemin said immediately. I won't let you lose your kingdom because of me. No, Princess Aralyn said firmly. What you have taught me about emotions and human nature has made me a better leader. I will not abandon that just because my brother is afraid of change. Hyejin stood up quickly. Princess, with respect, this is bigger than just you and Taemin. If Prince Kethvor takes power, he will likely support military action against Earth. Millions of human lives could be at stake. Princess Aralyn was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was filled with determination. Then we must make sure he does not take power. How? Taemin asked. By showing the people of my kingdom that human influence has made me stronger, not weaker, Princess Aralyn replied. By demonstrating that emotions and logic together create better leadership than logic alone, So-Young shook her head. Princess, that is very risky. Prince Kethvor has significant support among the traditional nobility. Then I will have to convince them, Princess Aralyn said. That afternoon, the Crystal Palace filled with Veltharans' nobility from across the kingdom. They came to hear Princess Erlin's announcement about new policies and her future as their ruler. But they also came because they had heard rumors about the ultimatum from Prince HFY War. Many supported him and wanted to see Princess Erlin reject human influence. Others were curious to see what she would do. The ceremony took place in the great throne room. Princess Erlin sat on her throne made of frozen lightning, wearing her crown of crystallized starlight. She looked more beautiful and regal than Taimin had ever seen her. Taimin, Hyejin, and Soyoung sat in a special section reserved for honored guests. Around them, hundreds of crystal beings waited to see what their princess would say. Prince HFY stood to one side of the throne, surrounded by his supporters. His dark purple crystal skin seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. His eyes were cold as deep space. Princess Erlin stood up slowly, her voice carried clearly throughout the enormous room. "My people," she began, "for 3,000 years I have lived among you as your princess. I have followed our traditions of logic and order. I have suppressed emotions as weaknesses." Murmurs of approval came from the traditional nobles. But recently, I have learned something new. I have learned that emotions are not weaknesses. They are tools that can make us stronger and wiser. The murmurs became louder and less approving. Captain Taemin Kim of Earth taught me to feel wonder at the beauty of nature. He taught me to feel compassion for the suffering of others. He taught me to feel joy in simple pleasures and hope for the future. Prince HFY stepped forward. "Sister, these human emotions have clouded your judgment. They have made you weak and unsuitable to rule." Princess Erlin turned to face her brother directly. "Have they made me weak, brother? When Captain Kim helped solve the 3 great problems of the Galactic Council, was that weakness? When my new understanding of emotions helped me negotiate better treaties with our neighbors, was that weakness?" "Those were accidents," Prince HFY said. "Human trickery that cannot be repeated." "Then let me prove you wrong," Princess Erlin said. She gestured to her advisors and they brought out several holographic displays showing problems that the kingdom was currently facing. "Lord Velthon," Princess Erlin said, addressing one of the noble counselors, "your mining colony on Karis 7 has been having labor disputes for months. Our traditional approach of strict enforcement has not worked. What do you suggest?" Lord Velthon, a tall crystal being with silver skin, looked uncomfortable. "Perhaps we should increase penalties for the workers who refuse to cooperate." "Captain Kim," Princess Erlin said, "what would you suggest?" Taemin stood up slowly. He was terrified to speak in front of so many hostile aliens, but he knew he had to try. "Your Majesty, have you asked the workers what they want? Sometimes labor disputes happen because people feel their needs are not being heard." "Workers exist to work," Lord Velthon said dismissively. "Their wants are irrelevant. But if unhappy workers are less productive, then their feelings become economically relevant," Taemin replied. "On Earth we have learned that treating workers with respect and addressing." The crystal throne room filled with the sound of energy weapons powering up. Prince HFY's soldiers aimed their weapons at Princess Erlin and the nobles who supported her. But before anyone could fire, the great doors of the throne room burst open. More armed figures poured in, but these were not wearing Prince HFY's dark uniforms. "Stop!" shouted a voice that sounded like singing metal. Taemin recognized the newcomer immediately. It was High Merchant Veltar, the Zephyrian, leader from the trade dispute he had helped resolve. Behind Veltar came War Chief Brukthun, the massive Korthak leader, and representatives from dozens of other species. "High Merchant Veltar," Prince HFY said with surprise. "What are you doing here?" "We received word that Princess Erlin was in danger," Veltar replied, his bird-like head held high. "We have come to support the being who brought peace to our peoples." War Chief Brukthun stepped forward, his rock-like body making the floor shake. "The human Taimin and Princess Erlin ended centuries of war between my people and the Zephyrians. We will not allow them to be harmed." More species representatives entered the throne room. There were beings from the worlds that Taimin had saved with Earth bacteria. There were coalition military officers whose ships were no longer attacked thanks to his solution to the Phantom Fleet problem. Prince HFY War, said a new voice. You are outnumbered. Elder So Young Lee stepped forward, but now she had removed her crystal disguise. She appeared fully human, wearing the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. You, Prince Kethvor snarled, you are the spy who has been corrupting my sister with human lies. I am a scientist who has been studying your culture with permission from your government, So Young replied calmly. And I have been watching you plan treason against your rightful ruler. She pulled out a small device and activated it. Holographic recordings appeared in the air above the throne room floor. The recordings showed Prince Kethvor meeting secretly with alien military leaders, planning attacks against Earth and plotting to overthrow his sister. The crystal nobles who had supported Prince Kethvor looked shocked and angry when they saw the evidence of his plans. Brother, Princess Erlyn said with sadness in her voice, you plan to attack innocent humans? You plan to start a war? I plan to save our people from contamination, Prince Kethvor replied, but his voice was less confident than before. By committing murder and treason? Princess Erlyn asked. Commander Hyjin Park stepped forward. Prince Kethvor, you are under arrest by order of the Galactic Coalition Council for conspiracy to commit acts of war against member species. You have no authority here, human, Prince Kethvor snapped. Actually, she does, said a familiar, metallic voice. Supreme Counselor Zeph-9 flowed into the throne room, taking the shape of a tall, imposing figure. The Coalition Council has been investigating reports of illegal military planning. We have found evidence that Prince Kethvor has violated 17 different galactic laws. Prince Kethvor looked around the room at the forces arrayed against him. His soldiers were outnumbered 3-1. The nobles who had supported him were backing away in shame and fear. Even his closest advisors looked uncertain. This is not over, he said. But there was desperation in his voice now instead of confidence. Yes, it is, Princess Erlyn said, firmly. She raised her hand, and her crystal skin began to glow with brilliant white light. The crown on her head sparkled like a captured star. When she spoke, her voice carried the authority of 3,000 years of royal bloodline. Kethvor, my brother, I hereby strip you of your title and rank. You are exiled from this kingdom for the crimes of treason, conspiracy, and attempted murder. Prince Kethvor's crystal skin began to crack like breaking glass. Losing his royal status was causing physical changes to his body. Sister, please, he said, and for the first time he sounded truly afraid. Princess Erlyn's expression softened slightly. Kethvor, you are still my brother. Your exile will be to the meditation colony on Serenity Prime. There you can think about what you have done and perhaps find peace. And if I refuse to go quietly? Princess Erlyn's glow became brighter. Then you will be taken there by force. Prince Kethvor looked at his soldiers. Lay down your weapons, he commanded them. This battle is over. The soldiers powered down their energy weapons and stepped away. Prince Kethvor walked slowly toward Diu, his sister. I still believe you are making a mistake, he said quietly. Humans will bring chaos to our ordered world. Perhaps, Princess Erlyn replied, but they have also brought wonder, creativity, and solutions to problems we could not solve alone. I believe the benefits outweigh the risks. Prince Kethvor nodded sadly. Then I hope you are right, sister, for all our sakes. Coalition security officers led Prince Kethvor and his supporters away. As they left, the tension in the throne room finally began to ease. Supreme Counselor Zeph-9 flowed into a more relaxed shape. Princess Erlyn, the Coalition Council offers its full support for your continued rule. We believe that your combination of traditional Veltharan's wisdom and human emotional intelligence will serve the galaxy well. Thank you, Supreme Counselor, Princess Erlyn replied. But before we discuss the future, there is something I must do. She walked down from her throne until she was standing directly in front of Taemin. Captain Kim, she said, 3 months ago you crashed in my garden and called me magnificent. Those words began a journey that has changed my life and saved my kingdom. Your Majesty, I was just being honest about what I saw, Taemin replied. And that honesty has made all the difference, Princess Aralyn said. You taught me to feel emotions without losing my ability to think logically. You showed me that understanding people's hearts is just as important as understanding their minds. She paused and looked around the throne room at all the different species that had come to support her. Most importantly, you proved that humans have gifts that can benefit the entire galaxy. Your creativity, your emotional intelligence, your ability to see solutions that others miss. These are not weaknesses. They are strengths that make you valuable allies. Taemin felt his heart racing as Princess Aralyn continued to speak. The Coalition has asked me to serve as the new High Arbitrator for interspecies disputes, she announced. I have accepted this position, but only on the condition that humans be given equal status in all Coalition activities. The representatives from various species made sounds of agreement. Furthermore, Princess Aralyn continued, I am establishing a new cultural exchange program. Humans will serve as emotional intelligence advisors to leaders throughout the galaxy. In return, those leaders will share their advanced technologies and knowledge with Earth. Commander Hyjin Park stepped forward with a huge smile on her face. Princess, on behalf of Earth, I accept this proposal. There is one more thing, Princess Aralyn said, looking directly at Taemin again. Captain Kim, I am offering you the position of Chief Cultural Advisor to the High Arbitrator. You would help me resolve conflicts between species throughout the galaxy. Taemin was stunned. Your Majesty, I'm just a cargo pilot. I don't know anything about diplomacy or politics. You know about people, Princess Aralyn replied. You know how to see the beauty and value in others, even when they are different from you. You know how to find solutions that serve everyone's needs. Those skills are exactly what the galaxy needs right now. Taemin looked around the throne room at all the alien faces watching him. A few months ago, he had been nobody special, just a human hauling cargo between worlds. Now he was being offered a chance to help shape the future of galactic civilization. I accept, Your Majesty, he said. The throne room erupted in celebration. Different species made different sounds of joy and approval. The Zephyrians sang like crystal bells. The Korthak roared like happy avalanches. The Veltharans made musical sounds like wind through perfect crystals. But in the middle of all the noise, Princess Aralyn stepped close to Taemin and spoke quietly, so only he could hear. Taemin, she said, using his first name for the first time. There is something else I need to tell you. What is it, Your Majesty? You taught me to understand emotions, she said softly. And now I understand one emotion very clearly. Which one? Princess Aralyn smiled and her crystal skin sparkled with colors Taemin had never seen before. Love, she said simply. Taemin felt his breath catch in his throat. Your Majesty, I know that our duties will keep us busy, she continued. I know that we come from different worlds and different species. But I also know that what we have shared together is precious and rare. I feel the same way, Taemin admitted. But you're about to become the High Arbitrator of the galaxy. I'm just a human from Earth. You are the human who taught me to see beauty and wonder in the universe, Princess Aralyn replied. You are the human who helped me save my kingdom and unite the galaxy. You are the human I love. Before Taemin could respond, Elder So Young Lee approached them. Congratulations to both of you, she said with a knowing smile. But we should discuss the practical arrangements for your new positions. Over the next several hours, the details were worked out. Princess Aralyn would establish her headquarters on a neutral space station at the center of the galaxy. Taemin would work closely with her to resolve conflicts between D